Our firm decision is to work from this focused center. One died for everyone. That puts everyone in the same boat. Christ included everyone in his death so that everyone could also be included in his life, a resurrection life, a far better life than people ever lived on their own. Because of this decision, we don't evaluate people by what they have or how they look. We looked to the Messiah that way once and got it all wrong. As you know, we certainly don't look to him that way anymore. Now we look inside, and what we see is that anyone united with the Messiah gets a fresh start, is created new. The old life is gone, the new life burgeons. And I was reading 2 Corinthians 5, 6 through 17. Hear what the Spirit has to say today.
Thanks be to God. Amen.
I was once asked when I emceed the Transgender Day of Remembrance event if I was a F to M, which is female to male. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not. But what an honor. And then I got this lovely card from somebody, and I'm not going to say from who because, I didn't get her permission. And she says, as adorable as I am too femme to be F to M. In other words, butch it up, Mac. I believe that our trans community is the least understood community within the LGBTQI, more so than the bi community. The bi is kind of like the silent warriors, but the trans community is present, but it's difficult to understand. Imagine this, understanding from the outside in. Now try understanding it when you're actually taking the journey itself. Now if it's difficult, and this is by no means comparing it, although there are some parallels, how difficult it is for someone who's coming out as a lesbian woman or gay man. Now someone who's coming out as a trans woman or trans man. The journey in itself is difficult, whether you're viewing it from the outside or living it from the inside. Those challenges that are embarked on bring about social, economic, emotional, and spiritual hardships. And you have to ask, why? Why even go through this? Why even embark on this transition to perhaps lose family, lose friends, lose your job? As a friend of mine once said, because I had the opportunity to transition into what I was called to be rather than what I was born into. To follow the very calling that lies on the heart rather than simply be because society says so. It's this calling that brings to mind the great spectrum of people who are gender variant, those who dress in response to their feelings, and those who live their lives the way the Spirit has called them to be trans spirit. It's this spectrum that creates an incredible conflict within those who struggle with their own internal dialogue, and then to allow that internal dialogue to create an external dialogue so that we can talk about it. That internal dialogue that's often referred to as the white noise. The clangor, the nagging, that white noise that reminds you in the morning, you've got to change. That clangor that reminds you at night, you've got to change. That constant buzzing that reminds you, you've got to change. And yet, when society tells you, you've got to stay the way you are, and following that norm that oftentimes denies you anyway. How many of our trans sisters and brothers, in following the status quo, became married, had children, and then had to deny all that? To break not only their hearts in becoming true to who they are, but then to break the hearts of their loved ones. Viewing it from the outside in, and then expecting the radical inclusion to embrace you when your own daughter or your own son or your ex-wife or your ex-husband tells you, I don't recognize you anymore. How can that expression of hope and understanding fill us when we question our own existence? Christ, who died one and for all, allows us to understand that God never makes mistakes. And if we can believe that, but let's further. If we can believe it and then begin to live it, we can then be that expression, that trans-spirit expression that allows our individuality to truly speak up and speak out. You know, being forced to live within the norms of society is being told that they have to grow up as something they're not. Now, by no means am I comparing, but in case there was any surprises, I am Latino. And to my mother's surprise, I didn't get married or have children. Although I tried, a failed attempt, God is good. But what about our trans sisters and brothers who followed the calling of society?